there's another team that we're going to get started on right here that is 1 goal away from forcing overtime in Game 7
of the Stanley
Cup Finals. So the Edmonton Oilers won 49 games, lost 33. We don't talk about overtime losses in this podcast. Last year's power play ranking, 4th. How can you not be 4th with McDavid and Draisaitl leading the way? Who's in? Well, they've added Victor Arvidsson. They've added Jeff Skinner. They've added Matthew Savoie. And they lost Fogley. They've lost Jack Campbell. Thank God. And they've lost Ryan
Praise
McLeod.
the Lord.
Tier players. Guys, how much is there to talk about Connor freaking McDavid?
Like, do we really have to spend time on the first two? Like,
does he hit 100 assists next year, Connor McDavid? Or does he hit maybe more goals?
Oh, my God. So, just to put everything into perspective here, we have a lot of Toronto Maple Leaf fans that are friends of ours.
Toronto.
And they make up almost half of the Llama League. So, they were saying, what's more impressive, 70 goals or 100 assists?
Yeah.
And, I mean...
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. They made the finals.
He didn't hit 70 goals.
Yeah, he hit 69 goals, Matt.
What's the difference? Anyways, Connor McDavid, guys, obviously number 1 player in the league, hands down.
Leon Draisaitl, number 2.
Leon Draisaitl is probably number 2 in the league. So, I mean, this team is really going nowhere without those 2 guys. No. And they're fun guys to watch. They've surrounded these guys with people that could put in points, but those are our 2 players right now, I think, that stay in our tier 1
forever.
We'll be like outed as a fantasy hockey podcast if we didn't have these guys in our tier 1 projections, right?
Okay, but realistically speaking, though, like he hit 100 assists last year, obviously a career high. The year before he had 89. 32 goals, 100 assists. Are we seeing it more balancing out to maybe 40 goals, 90 assists? Because most leagues these days have 2 points per goal, right? Not that it really matters when you have McDavid.
At 100 assists.
Guys,
he's hitting 50 goals this year.
Let me just
50
mention...
goals.
Yeah,
whoa.
He's hitting 50
so not
goals
100 assists.
Let me
Unless
talk
you
to you...
think he's going to get 150 points.
Listen,
last 3 years.
Goal.
123 points. 153 points. 132 points.
What tells you can't hit 100?
4 consecutive seasons, 100 points or plus.
What tells you can't hit 100?
And the one time he missed the 100-point mark, it was 97 points in 2019, other than his rookie season.
The year he hit 150 points, he had 71 power play points.
Yeah, but
71 power play points, career high.
Their power play was ranked.
His shooting percentage was 18.2. He had 64 goals.
Jude,
I don't see him getting 64 goals.
What's going to change? The power play is not going to be ranked less than 4th this year.
It's McJesus,
we'll
guys.
We'll see if Bouchard could keep up a point per game pace.
McJesus.
Even if it's not Bouchard.
Guys, I'm not saying anything bad about McDavid.
The people they
I don't know why you're coming
Where's
at
Tassel?
me.
Where's Tassel?
I'm just asking you if he's going to get more goals this year and a little less assists. That's all.
50 goals and he easily could get 100 assists.
I don't think he hits 100 assists next year. I'll be
Nobody
honest.
trade this guy.
So I don't think he hits 100 assists. That's all I was saying.
Okay, so we made our arguments for Connor McDavid.
He's 27.
Board bet. He's not hitting 100 assists.
Guys, he's 27 years old. He's like entering his prime.
Exactly. Guys, we're debating whether he's going to hit 100 assists. Do you realize what that means?
It's insanity.
So
I'm going to get so much hate for that, by the way.
Let's just go
that was our point.
To our tier 3, Nick. 70 to 79 points. We have...
Okay, let's talk about Draisaitl just a little bit, because there was...
tell me.
There was a little bit of debate, right, in Edmonton land about Draisaitl because his contract situation is coming up.
Yes.
Listen.
1 year left at 8.5.
Draisaitl was... Right now, he was, we'll say, 28 points. 27 points behind McDavid.
Right.
Next year, I see him closer to just 10 points behind McDavid. Just because of the way they surrounded him.
So 140 points.
So Draisaitl, they gave him 2 wingers who can actually help him. Wow. And Arvidsson, which I think is the biggest signing they did. Because I think Arvidsson is a phenomenal role player on that line. And then if Jeff Skinner can turn into the player he was, well, even with Buffalo, what a shit team, he was still putting up points.
I mean, shit team. He's still playing with Tage Thompson and Alex
Never played a playoff game.
No,
Never
never. But still,
and you went to acquire him. I don't know. You went to sign him. I don't know.
we're gonna talk about those two players
Yeah, we'll
anyways.
get there.
But I feel with those players next to him, Draisaitl will be in closer proximity in points to McDavid than he was this year.
Like, I don't like taking a superstar and assuming he's going to get more points because he's getting two average players next to him. To me, Arvidsson and Skinner are average players. If he keeps up his power play production, which is almost 40 points, and the year before was 62 points, that's what's going to bring him up. He went from 128 to 106 last year. I think he could flirt with the 120, but to say he'll get to 140, that's a push.
Okay.
Basically, going on the back of Arvidsson and Skinner, for me, anyway.
Talking about the back of Arvidsson and Skinner, you know Arvidsson, his last time he's played a full season was?
A long time, because I had him for a long time.
Never.
2022, 2023, he played 77 games.
I know, but that was the one time. He played 18 last year.
Yeah, but
He played 66 2 years ago. He played 53 years ago. Well, COVID season, right, as well. But the guy is a little bit of a loose leaf paper.
Yeah.
And he needs to stay healthy in order to help out that team. So I agree with you. I think he's not an 70-point player. But playing next to McDavid, he might reach that 68 points again, 68-point pace at least, staying healthy.
Well, to your point, we have him ranked in the tier 4, 60 to 69 points.
Sorry,
So
I know I
you
probably
kinda
skipped a little bit, but we spoke about Jeff Skinner as well.
Yeah.
And we have Jeff Skinner also in that team.
And Arvidsson at tier 4, 60 to 69 points. Just because I knew you guys were a little bit higher on them than I was, I don't think Jeff Skinner hits 60 points, personally, but
Don't forget, Jeff Skinner is a goal-scoring machine.
well, not last year.
He had 24 last year, right? The year before that, he had 35. The year before that, 33. Like, this guy is a perennial 30-goal scorer. So I do think that Jeff Skinner could hit that 30 goals again. I just don't think he'll hit 85-point pace that he did in 2022, 2023. So I still see him between that 60 and 70-point pace, but 30 goals. So if that's valuable for your fantasy league,
I look, last year he had 17 goals in the first half of the season and only 7 in the second half at 32 years old.
yeah, but last year was a bad year.
It didn't start bad. It ended bad.
Okay, talk about 2022-23 then. What was that like?
But what I'm saying is that the coach lost trust in him. His power play time went down. He's not going to be on the first power play in Edmonton. Why are
Who's
they
not going to be on the first
Why
power
is Jeff
play?
Skinner going to be
Jeff
on the
Skinner.
first power
No.
play?
He'll be on the second.
They're never going to play. They're never going to play.
I don't know. I think that's a little bit of projection there.
I'm big time on Jeff Skinner's demise right now. He's slowly going
And
downhill.
Draisaitl, just to last year played with Kane, Brown, Fogle, McLeod. Like,
That's bad.
you can't tell me that Skinner and Arvidsson are not an upgrade on those players.
We'll see.
Oh man, can't wait! Can't wait for the
I
first.
think-
No,
no,
because
no,
you
no,
have
this is
to,
a board bet.
you have to take into account
This is a
that
board bet.
Arvidsson is not healthy.
This is a board bet. Forget Arvidsson.
But if Draisaitl plays with him for 25 games and not 80 games, then it's the same amount. It's the same, it's not worth it.
Jeff Skinner, how many goals next year?
Ooh, let me wait. Let me go.
Okay, Jeff Skinner, how many goals? You said he's not hitting 30, so where are you at?
20.
20-goal Jeff Skinner. Jesus. Oh my God, we're adding
we
this-
doing a
this-
range or
just? I need to
You
see
guys
where
are
Vince is
freaking
at.
me out here. I just got a message from up above.
Oh,
What's happening? I'm too loud. Please keep it down.
honestly,
On your way up.
35 to 40.
Wow.
I give Skinner 35 to 40.
So I'll give you 20 to 25.
So wait.
20 to 25.
Sure. If you think Arvidsson will have a bigger impact, how many do you think Arvidsson's going to get?
not goals, assist Arvidsson. Arvidsson will get
Arvidsson's a
points.
goal scorer more than an assist guy, no?
And at the end of the day, what you were saying about the power play, Junior, is this: they had to keep those guys on for 2 minutes or a minute and 40 seconds because they had nobody to go on.
Yeah, but
The only player
you put
you-
Jeff Skinner and Arvidsson together on the power play too. It still sucks.
You're keeping McDavid and Draisaitl there for
2 minutes.
yeah, but you're taking out Hyman and you're taking out Nugent Hopkins for 1 minute.
After a minute 45 seconds.
No, they kept
That's
them-
what they've been doing. Vince.
Yes, because if you take Hyman off, you're
Why
putting
would
in-
you take a 50 goal
I'm
scorer
just
off
telling
the
you,
first
if you
power
take
play?
Hyman off, they were putting Fogle last year. You take the other guy off, they're putting Evander Kane. You can't tell me the Arvidsson and Skinner are not better choices than
I'll
those
be
two.
shocked if Fogle saw more than
Guys,
10
go.
seconds on the power play.
I'll
last
take
year.
27 to 32, even though the ranges don't really make sense because you're really low and you're really high. And if it's in between those, it doesn't count. So
We all lose.
we all lose, exactly. So 27 to 32 goals, Nick, 35 to 40, Vince, and 20 to 25, Junior. That's our board bet.
Okay, so since we jumped,
We should really write our board bets,
Yeah.
by the way, on the wall.
I have them all. Yeah, we should. Yeah, whatever.
like
So-
some sort of whiteboard or
so
something.
let's talk about that. We completely skipped the tier 3 players. So let's talk about tier 3.
well, we skipped tier 2 because they don't have any.
Yeah, exactly. So tier 3, Zach Hyman. Are we hitting 50 goals with Zach Hyman again this year?
Yes.
No. Oh my God! This team is going to be all our board bets. All our board bets.
No, you'll hit like 45. You'll hit about 45, I think, 40 to 45.
Yeah, I see him going back down to 35. I think that should be around his range, but still around 80 points. Just because of
His shooting percentage went up 5%, but I don't think that's enough to go down to 30.
I see him in the round of not down to 30 for sure. I see him in the round of 40, 40. But like I said, I think he's gonna lose power play time to Skinner and Arvidsson. So I don't think he'll get those extra goals on that power play. So I think
what a great player.
I think 40 is it was this the Toronto Maple Leafs biggest mistake.
Probably.
I think so.
Probably.
I think so. Because
I
not
think
not
so.
because of the 50 goals. I'm not
No,
like Toronto Maple Leafs fans are going to be like, "Oh, he hit 50 goals once. You think he's the biggest mistake?" No, he's a lunch pail guy.
Mhm.
He's a guy that puts his hard hat on, goes to those dirty areas, and stays there.
yeah.
You know, like I find he is what Bertuzzi wishes he was.
Yeah.
No, I'll tell you what the real mistake was. They thought $5.5 million a year was too much.
Yeah, that's crazy talk.
Are
That's
you
crazy
kidding
talk.
me? Are you kidding me?
I mean, I get it. In Toronto, he only had 21 goals, like his best year.
Yeah, but 37 points
But-
in 51 games. That's the $5 million player.
Yeah.
That was it. And then on his final year, 33 and 43 games.
Look, Edmonton has made their share of mistakes.
Yeah.
Um, their new GM might be one of them.
Yeah. We'll find out.
Oh,
Stan Bowman?
stupid man, Ignorant. Anyways,
Let's not get off topic.
let's not get political.
It's not fantasy relevant, but
Yeah.
I think we're remiss if we don't mention at least
No,
that Stan
of
Bowman
course.
got hired
Yeah.
by them, and they seem to be a team that doesn't care about what other people think, right?
Yeah.
Evander Kane with his ex-girlfriend.
Yeah, but that
and-
was a
and
bit iffy because you saw there
Wow.
was a lot of
She
backstory
didn't
to
seem
it.
to.
Yeah,
He was
exactly.
also bankrupt and going through legal battles with
because-
gambling.
Yeah, but there's all kinds of players that in the NHL.
True.
Yeah,
All right, so Zach Hyman's gonna hit 40 goals at least. We all agree, or no? You think less than
I
40?
think 35, 36.
I think 40. He could hit
Tier
40.
3, we also have
Nuge.
Ryan Nugent Hopkins between 70 and 79 points. Does he fall a little bit with the new acquisitions? Does he
Nugent Hopkins
keep
got
the pace?
104 points in 2022, 2023.
talk about a sell high candidate?
That's crazy.
yeah.
Listen, I feel
Well,
he's
Vince, to your point, he had 15 goals and 38 assists on the power play.
Yeah. So I feel he's going to be one who's going to not because he only got 6-7 points anyways last year, but I feel he'll be the one that's going to lose out with the new acquisitions they got. I think him and Hyman are going to be the ones that are going to lose out a bit on the new acquisitions. But I still think he's a good enough player and that power play so potent that he'll hit minimum that 60 point.
I think he's a part of that big three on offense, right? There's McDavid, there's Draisaitl, and then there's the guy that's been there forever, which is RNH. Don't get me wrong, Hyman is up there. I just mean like who's been there forever.
Yeah.
right? So he went through all of these horrible years in Edmonton before they got McDavid. And now, just now, they're starting to get somewhere. Like, this guy has been in the league 13 years with Edmonton. You know what I mean? And now they're starting to become something. Or last year. But
he's a nice example, just to go back to that Leo Carlson debate of, and I think Leo Carlson offensively is better than Nugent Hopkins, but when Nugent Hopkins was drafted, I think people anticipated a point per game player. After 13 years, it's safe to say he's not quite a point per game player.
No,
so the hype is always there when they're young. You just have to see how it plays out. But obviously, you put a McDavid and a Draisaitl with him, his points are going to boost.
But he only hit over 80 points once in his career.
Yeah.
Actually, over 68 points, 69 points only once in his career.
All right, so to the hot topic.
No, it's your hot topic.
Evan Bouchard. We have him ranked at 70 to 79 points, which is just under a point per game.
This is our third team.
Yes.
Well, I haven't mentioned once, is this a number one defenseman?
Well, because there weren't any in Calgary and Anaheim, to be fair. Not even debatable.
All right. Is Evan Bouchard a number one defenseman?
A legitimate number one defenseman to my standards, not quite yet. But I do think he'll get there.
At least you said that.
I said that the last time too, but, people choose. Look, do I think he'll be a point per game player this year? I don't think so. I think he'll drop a little bit, not by much. I see him more in the 70-point range. And I'll tell you what I like the most is that he's played 81, 82, and 81 games in the last 3 seasons. What I don't like so much is 43 points, 40 points, and then suddenly jump to 82. That's a 40-point jump. That's a double the points. Do I think he could put up a lot of points? Yes. Do I think he could put up a point per game? I think he'll be a little less. I think with time, maybe, but I don't think he's there just yet. Anyways, I just think it's too big of a jump to automatically assume he's going to be again a point per game player. I see him close to the 70-point range, to be fair, going into the season. I do think I wouldn't be surprised if he gets a point per game, but I see him more to 70 to 79 points going in. And that's his shooting percentage also went up a little more than usual. And now we're saying we're adding pieces. I don't know. I just see it going down a little bit. I think the jump was too big for me to just automatically assume he's going to stay consistent at a point per game.
Let me tell you what the difference was.
Let me talk to you.
He played 77% of the power play this year. He averaged 3.27 time on ice on the power play. In the previous 2 years, he was averaging 2 minutes and 1.2 minutes. So he had 35 points on the power play this year. That's huge. His career high before that was 13. But another part I'll mention is the fact that, Dauber's 200 game mark?
Mm-hmm.
He hit it last year. So this might be who he is. A 75, in my opinion, 75 to 80 point power play one defenseman.
Is it not fair, though, before labeling him officially something great, for him to prove that he can do it for 2 consecutive years at least?
Well, that's why I'm saying 75 to 80 and not saying 80 to 85 or 85 to 90. But 70 to 75, sorry, where was I at? 70, 75? No, 75 to 80. 75 to 80, I believe, is doable again.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Look, 70 to 79, that's where we have him ranked.
77% of the power play time with McDavid, with Draisaitl, with Hyman, potentially RNH or Jeff Skinner.
I'll tell you what, if he does a point per game again next year, for me, he'll probably be labeled a number one defenseman.
Oh, I need to see.
But he's got to do it again.
You label Hedman as a number one defenseman?
Yes, but there's criteria. It's not just points.
I understand, but points is one of the criteria.
If you can be a point per game defenseman consistently, you're automatically number one defenseman, despite shorthanded, despite being relied upon on everything
Hedman
else.
hit 85 points once.
Yes, but Hedman...
I'm just saying, once. And we're counting him as a number one defense, which I believe he is. And he hit it in his 30s when he was 29, I think. Hedman hit 85 points.
Asterisk. He does own Bouchard.
No, I don't.
No, he traded him.
I traded for Demidov for the second overall pick.
Okay, but to this day, if you take Bouchard or Hedman in his prime, NHL teams are going to choose Hedman. In fantasy, you're choosing Bouchard hands down, no questions asked. Hedman in his prime, Bouchard in his prime, you're probably taking Hedman because he does everything and he puts 65 points up a season.
Okay, my thing is you can't compare that because Bouchard's not in his prime.
But Bouchard will never be what Hedman is to his team.
You don't know that. Hedman was
Vince, he's not even, he's 20 seconds shorthanded a season. He's not being relied upon to play in all...
20 points, 26 points.
But he doesn't need to do...
Stop. 20 points, 55 points, 38 points. That's his first 2, 4, 6, his first 6 seasons.
Yeah, but how many games played? It's point per game pace.
79, 61, 44,
He's a 60-point
75.
defenseman. He's a 60-point defenseman.
I understand, but it's the first 6 years he didn't hit 82 points.
I wasn't going to label him as a first number one defenseman in the league in the first 6 seasons. I'm just saying.
I understand. So but no, we're just saying Bouchard is ahead of the game when it comes to Hedman.
Yeah, but you guys, stop saying that. I'm telling you, he's going to get there. He's just not there. That's it. It's over.
I think that...
He's not there yet. That's all.
I think nothing changes on their power play. They still have McJesus. They still have Draisaitl. Both those guys are going to get over 100 points per game. Over 100 points next year. Someone needs to assist those goals. Bouchard will be 70% of those assists just because... he plays on the power play one, just like last year. And he's just going to get better as the years go on because he's going to develop. And now he is officially their number one defenseman. There's no Nurse behind him. There's nobody in that defense that can even compete with Bouchard there.
He is their number one defenseman.
So there
and if he keeps putting up a point per game, he doesn't need to play all situations. That was my point.
No, I'm just...
Hedman doesn't put a point per game, so he needs to play all situations. And he does. And he does it effectively. That was it.
I think he's going to keep on hitting that. As long as Draisaitl, McDavid stay healthy, he's going to hit that over 80 points.
So he's a product of them?
Well, no, he's just... how can you be a product of is Hedman a product of Kucherov, Stamkos, in Le Cavalier and Saint Louis? You can't... you're not a
None
product.
of those players are McDavid and Draisaitl.
You put Nurse as a number. You put Nurse in Bouchard's place. Does Nurse give Bouchard points?
No.
So there you go. So
no, but the way you said, if he keeps playing with McDavid and Draisaitl, he's going to keep putting up those points.
Well, he will because he's power play one.
That's agreed. But then does that mean it's because of them?
But they're top 3. They're 2 of the top 3 players in the league. How? But you can't just put anybody there. Like I iterate. Nurse was there before. Nurse was supposed to be the guy, and he's got dethroned quickly.
Oh yeah, I mean,
so
Bouchard is head and heels over here.
You still need to have the talent to play with those guys. You can't just throw anybody in. So he has. He's proven he has. So I think he's going to be a tier 2 player, an 80 to 90 point player for sure.
All right. Well, I stayed out of that one, and no, I already said 75 to 80 points.
Yeah, but that's guys, at the end of the day, we're talking about a 10-point difference. All I said is 70 to 79.
Yeah.
70 points, I'm assuming. That's all.
Regardless, Bouchard is in a great... Fantasy-wise, Bouchard is in an absolutely spectacular situation. Would I have traded a top 2 pick for him? I would have, if I was a team that's trying to compete. Because he's young enough that he's going to be on my team forever, and he's playing... The only fear I have is that he prices himself out of Edmonton. Because if they have to pay Draisaitl, they have to pay McDavid. Eventually, Bouchard is going to need a raise as well.
They can't get rid of Nurse because McDavid, he got that contract.
And Bouchard is contract year with arbitration.
Right? So, anyways, that's the only thing that I'll say. If he's not with those players, I still think he's going to be a good fantasy producing player. But we'll wait and see. I think that Edmonton chooses to keep him, but crazier things have been done. Stuart Skinner is the number 1 goalie on this team. Is there any doubt?
Who's behind him?
All right. 905 save percentage, 2.62 goals against average. He actually had a phenomenal year. Played 59 games. He was 32nd in the league in goals saved above expected, which is average. I know there's 32 teams in the league, but there's 2 goalies per team, so I'm saying average. Calvin Pickard is his backup. 949 save percentage.
Better numbers.
2.45 goals against average. Played 23 games. Not a large sample size. 38th in goals save above expected.
I don't think I have nothing to say about these goalies. It is what it is. He can let in 4 goals, they'll score 6.
I don't think Skinner plays 59 games again. He has a great salary, by the way.
2.6.
You think Picard can handle the rest of the games?
No. No,
I think that's the one improvement there.
Look, I traded for Skinner in LPHL, and the reason why, or I picked up Skinner in LPHL.
You had him for all of last year.
He's cheap.
Mm-hmm.
He's cheap, and he puts up wins. So if you're, and his salary is absolutely amazing. I know I just said cheap, but still, his draft position wasn't high either. So it's a player that I could have gotten. I think this year redraft leagues he's going to go higher than when I picked him up. Jack Campbell obviously was not the answer. He's gone.
Mm-hmm.
Stuart Skinner has the net in Edmonton.
I think the reason Pickard didn't play as many games last year was because they did start with Campbell as a number 2 and number 1, whatever. They were fluctuating. So I do see Pickard playing closer to 30 games.
All right, top prospects. This is going to be fast.
Not many.
They traded for Matthew Savoie, who automatically becomes their number 1 prospect.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't necessarily lose favor in Buffalo, but I feel like his draft stock diminished a little bit, and they had a lot of other players that were similar to Matthew Savoie in Buffalo. Whereas when we're talking about Edmonton, Matthew Savoie automatically becomes their number 1 prospect. So this is a great trade by Edmonton. I think it's still a very good trade by Buffalo because they needed a guy like McLeod.
Mm-hmm.
McLeod is a good NHL player. And they could have traded away from a position of strength. Okay, a lot of people were comparing this trade, Forsberg with Erat. I don't think it's at that level here. Sam O'Reilly, they drafted this year, 32nd overall. Great kid out of Toronto, who our friend Jamie actually met and knows the family. And Emil Vini, who I won't lie to you guys,
He's a goalie. He was drafted in the second round.
He could possibly be a starting goalie in the NHL.
Do we think Matthew Savoie gets a chance this year to play in the NHL?
No.
Not with the additions they made.
Okay. All right.
Maybe as a call-up. He's not in juniors, right? He's in the AHL.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe he might get a few games.
Yeah.
And final thoughts and predictions. Look, in Dom's model, they were 16th best off-season. And the reason being is Arvidsson and Skinner have a lot of question marks and inconsistencies, whether it's health or
he was in the
gameplay.
WHL last year.
WHL?
No, actually, sorry. He finished the year with the Rochester Americans.
That's it.
So that's right. He is AHL this year.
They have Olivier Rodrigue and him now in AHL. So I'm curious to see who gets the first call-up. So Dom's model, they were 16th best offseason based off basically the question marks surrounding Arvidsson and Skinner and the consistencies that come with it, which basically resulted in the needle staying stagnant there at 16, middle of the pack.
These 2 signings, it's basically you either hit a home run or you strike out.
Yeah.
There's no in between. There's no single. There's no double. It's either you hit a home run or you strike out. So,
but
it'll be fun to see.
I think it's a low risk too because I mean Fogley and whoever else they lost weren't crazy.
Exactly.
So that they miss, I don't think it's a big deal. They're still a playoff team.
Exactly.
Anything else to say about Edmonton?
Nope.